lot of people who are kind of piling into the class right now. So we'll give everyone a minute to catch up. I see a lot of people. Oh, I see someone's from Albany, New York. I'm originally from Rochester, New York. So basically right down the road from you. Currently in Jacksonville, Florida. Now, before we get started, small disclaimer. I am 6 months pregnant here. So I got a breath pretty easily. So if I stop for a moment to take a breather, just roll with it, please. I'm going to try to get through this without too many breaks or too many water breaks either. But I just wanted to give you that fair warning before we start diving in. So someone said congratulations. Thank you. So today, what are we talking about? We are talking about sublimation. Now, we are really starting what's going to be a multiple class series about sublimation and how to make money with it by starting a small business. So I want to give you a little overview of what we're going over today. I'm going to tell you what sublimation is, both the science behind it and the crafting behind it. We're going to do 2 sublimation demos. We're then going to talk about how sublimation differs from other product decorating categories that a lot of people participate in. We're going to talk about what sublimation and personalization and customization does for you as a business and why it's important. And then we're going to end up talking about where the personalization and customization sublimation business is headed after 2024. So we're going to cram a lot of information in. Just like I said, this is the first of hopefully many classes we're going to be having about starting a sublimation business. So make sure you keep up with the classes at Michael's, and let's go ahead and get started. I see some people are having a volume issue. Let me know in the comments if you can hear me or not before I get moving, because I don't want to be talking and have no one here. I see someone gave me a thumbs up. Thank you very much. So you hear just fine. Someone asked how long the class is. It's 1 hour. Other people are saying they can hear me. All right, so since the majority of the people are giving me the thumbs up saying they can hear me, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to share my screen and we are going to get started. So give me 1 second to get my screen sharing together, because we're going to start with part of a PowerPoint. Then we're going to go ahead and do demonstration and go back to the PowerPoint. So, all right, whoop, let me just minimize everybody here. Give me 1 second. All right. So while we are in the middle of presenting the PowerPoint, unfortunately, I can't see or answer any of your questions. Nicole, if something comes into the questions that is very relevant to what I'm talking about on screen, please let me know and I will stop. So,
absolutely.
Let's get moving. So quickly, first, just want to introduce us. We are Craft Express. We are a sublimation and crafting blanks dealer. We carry all the equipment from heat presses to sublimation blanks. We do some engraving blanks, HTV, permanent vinyl, etc. So a lot of different forms of crafting. I have been in sublimation for the past 5 years, my boss for 15. So between the two of us, we have 20 years of experience, and we are sublimation experts because that is our bread and butter. So you might be wondering, what is sublimation? In scientific terms, sublimation is when a solid turns into a gaseous form while skipping the liquid phase. So solid to a gas. In the crafting world of sublimation, we're talking about sublimation inks. So that's when ink that is on, say, this sheet of paper is activated by the proper time, temperature, and pressure from a heat press. Once this ink is activated, it goes from its solid form on the sheet of paper straight to a gas form, and then is trapped inside the polyester molecules of a sublimation blank. And we are going to be doing 2 demonstrations today because I want to show you how different sublimation blanks can be in pressing them. So we have a ceramic ornament, which is very relevant for this time of year and 100% our hottest selling item right now at Michael's. And also we have our stainless steel tumblers, which is obviously a drinkware item. So 2 very different items that take different times and temperatures to press and require 2 very different machines. The great thing about sublimation is your design will never come off, crack, fade, or peel. Once that gas is trapped into those molecules never release the ink, which is why sublimation is such a great choice when it comes to customization and personalization of items. So let's get started on our first item and how to properly sublimate it. I'm going to quickly stop sharing my screen so you can see me 100% and we can move forward. I see that it doesn't look like we have any questions so far, so I'm going to keep moving. Now, this is a polyester coated ornament. This is a photograph of actually my husband and I years ago when we got engaged. So what we're going to do is we printed this photograph on a sublimation printer using sublimation inks. That's the key thing about sublimation. You need the proper equipment. So sublimation printer, sublimation inks, a polyester coated blank. And we are going to lay this blank face down on our picture. Now, you'll notice, you can't tell right now, but this picture is what we call mirrored. Basically, it's backwards. Because 99% of the time we're working with sublimation, we have to mirror our image. That because we are pressing it face up on an item. And what we want is for that image to reflect back at us after we've done the pressing process. So that's why for pictures, normally it doesn't really matter so much. With words, as you're going to see later, it does matter. So someone asks, is that a specific paper too? Melissa, that is I think Melissa or Marissa, I think it's Melissa. That is a fantastic question. Yes, this is sublimation paper. So sublimation printer, sublimation blank, sublimation ink, sublimation paper. You can't just do this on a normal inkjet printer that you're going to find at Best Buy. This is parchment paper. Now this is standard parchment paper that I got at the grocery store. And this does not have anything to do with the actual sublimation process. This is to keep our heat press clean because, as I said before, this ink is going to turn into a gas, and gas can escape. So what we want to do is just make sure that when this gas escapes and there's excess gas that is floating around in here, we don't ruin our heat press. And when I say ruin our heat press, I mean if extra ink gets stuck on this heat press, the next time it's activated by heat, it can gas again and get stuck in the molecules of a new sublimation blank and thus ruin our next project. Okay, so Letty, great question. Letty wants to know, is this completely different than what you do with Cricut products? The answer is yes. Cricut is vinyl. This is sublimation. So with sublimation, there's no layering. This is you print out a picture, print out a design, print out a logo. You use time, temperature, and pressure with a heat press on a sublimation blank, and you transfer that image. With vinyl, and I'm going to get a little bit more into this later on in our presentation, but basically with vinyl, you can't get a photograph. You know, you're cutting pieces of plain colored or glitter or holographic vinyl, and you're layering pieces on top of one another. You're making a design, but you can't get the detail you can achieve with sublimation. And this will never crack, fade, or peel. There's no chance of this ever coming off. Let's see. So someone says they have an Epson. What setting do they press on? What do they print on? So that's a great question. I am not familiar with the Epson printers. I am more familiar with the Sawgrass printers, as I did used to work for Sawgrass. I will say that when it comes to technically pressing, it has nothing to do with your printer and everything to do with your blank. This is a ceramic ornament. We are pressing this ceramic ornament at 392 degrees for 210 seconds. That's 3.5 minutes. So 392 degrees for 3.5 minutes for a ceramic ornament. Now, every blank is going to be a little different because every item is made from different material. Ceramic takes longer to press and requires more heat and more pressure because of the heat conduction that it does. Something like this stainless steel, because it's so much thinner, this only requires 385 degrees and 2 minutes. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Let's see. So someone says, I thought it would be ironed on with a square iron. And the answer is you really don't want to do that because 2 reasons. 1, irons only get to a certain amount of heat. Oh, you're talking about this heat press. So this is a heat press. This is just one of the heat presses that we offer. I think you're referring to the photo that we had out there. I'm not using that heat press for no other reason than it's just easier for me right now to use this one because I'd have to hold that down for 3.5 minutes, where this one holds itself down for 3.5 minutes. You don't want to use a traditional iron because A, you're not going to get the right amount of heat, and B, you're not going to achieve the proper amount of pressure. All right, let's see. We got some questions here. Can you use an HP printer? The answer is no. You have to use a printer made for sublimation. Can we use our Cricut heat press? Yes, you can. How much time for a phone case? It depends on what that phone case is made of. If you have more information, if it's stainless steel, if it's regular metal, if it's plastic, let me know and I can get you that information. Is there a list of times and temperatures for the blanks? We do have that list. And Nicole, I don't know how to best get that list over to you because it has all of our items. So if you have, Nicole, if you know how I can get that list out to you so it can go to everybody, let me know. Otherwise, I might have to just include it in our next class. Someone says, is there fumes from pressing? The answer is no. With some items, it might get a little smelly, but that's it. Okay. Let's see what else we have. So someone says I should be able to attach the list down below. If I have time later and I can dig it out of my computer, I can get it in there. Let's see. This machine does have a timer sound. I'm sure you probably just heard it go off a little while ago. All right, so this is going to be hot. What we recommend is that you quickly peel this off. And that is because we recommend that you quickly peel the transfer off, because if it stays on there, that ink is going to continue to transfer and it will cook for too long. And if it cooks for too long, a few things can happen. 1, it can mess up the colors. 2, it can come out blurry. Or 3, if the paper shifts a little bit, you can end up getting ghosting, and that's when you see the image twice on the blank. Let's see. Ty has a great question. What's the best way to sublimate on cotton? And the answer is there is no way. You cannot sublimate on 100% cotton. You need to have polyester in the item. We recommend a minimum of 50-50 polyester cotton blend. The less polyester there is in the item, the more washed out your item's going to look. And it's going to look almost vintage. The more polyester you have, the more detail you're going to get and the brighter your image is going to be. What's the top transfers to use? You can use whatever you want. You can put images, logos, designs you find on Etsy. There is no limit. Okay. Are we going to go over tumbler cups? The answer is yes. I'm going to come around here real quick so you can see this a little closer before I put it down because it is hot. So give me 1 second. Trying to get some more light in here for you so you can get a good look at this. A metal phone case, I would press a metal phone case at 400 degrees for 1 minute. All right, so that is what we just created. I'll hold it up for you a little bit later too when I don't have to use a glove. Okay. I need a t-shirt with an image that looks vintage. Could it be because of the heat and time? It could be because of the heat and time. It could be because you don't have enough polyester in it. I would press a t-shirt at 385 degrees for 45 seconds. All right. We're going to quickly make a change here. I'm going to move this heat press down and bring our tumbler press up. So give me 1 second while I make this change. Feel free to get some more questions in. Hopefully I'm not going too fast. If I'm going too fast for you, please let me know. I just want to make sure I can get everybody's questions answered. Okay, so we're shifting gears now to a tumbler press. And this will heat up fairly quickly. So, can I say the time and temperature again? So we press that ornament at 392 degrees for 210 seconds. Great question. Can you put the machine on a regular plastic table, or will it melt the table? You can put it on a plastic table. Just, you know, be careful, but you shouldn't have any issues. What's the name of your tumbler press machine? This is our Elite Pro tumbler press. Let's see, can you go over pricing and supplies? These can all be found at Michaels.com and in the Michaels Marketplace. And we are in 50 Michaels stores across the country. I don't have the exact prices for all of these. Nicole might be able to attach them in the comments. I'm not sure. But we will talk about startup costs later on. I want to get through this presentation, and then I want to get through showing you guys how to create, and then we'll kind of go into the more nitty-gritty business aspect of sublimation. Oh, I love this question. Why do some shirts come out with sharp lines from the heat press, even when it's light pressure? That is not your heat press. That is the sheet of paper that you're using. So when you're pressing on shirts, that material is very sensitive. I recommend you use what's called a heating pillow or a foam kit. And it should be about 2 inches in size. You can get them in like the foam furniture stuffing aisle at the store. And you put it under your shirt. So foam kit, shirt, layer paper on top. Your foam kit should be cut so that it's larger than your image, but smaller than your sheet of paper. And what's going to happen is it's going to, as it presses, let the edge of the paper just kind of gently sit around the foam. So you don't have any direct contact with the edge of the paper and your t-shirt, and that will keep you from getting lines. You can also gently rip around your design and make that edge of the paper very thin, and that will help too. But I prefer the, what's it called? I prefer using a foam kit. I think it works better. I'm just going to set our time and temperature. There we go. We got a lot of questions coming in. I love it. Give me 1 second to kind of scroll back up here. Yep, I'm going to try to attach the list of the times and temperatures at the end when I can try to pull it up on my computer. How do you sublimate a whole shirt with a big printer and a big heat press? Is there a tumbler press that works for 40 ounces? You can use an oven, which we have over here. Or there is an attachment that we will be offering soon. What's your suggestions for washing and drying instructions for clients? My suggestion is they can wash and dry as much as they want. The great thing about sublimation is it will not fade, crack, or peel. Now, if there is some cotton in the shirt, the first wash, you might lose a little bit of ink, but not a ton. And you should be able to wash, wash, wash. Your design will outlast the material of the shirt. Your shirt will fall apart before the design ever comes off. I have a cup press. Can we use it to make tumblers? It's similar to yours, but it's shorter. So the answer is you can, but you might not be able to get a full wraparound press. Nicole has posted a link to the sublimation supplies. So, oh, great question. Why does my sublimation paper stick to my tumbler? The answer is you're using too much pressure. So the heat and the pressure are making it stick to that tumbler. Lighten up your pressure a little bit. Yes, does a durability apply to putting the tumblers in the dishwasher? And the answer to that is yes, it does. However, our tumblers are double walled like a Yeti. So we recommend not putting them in the dishwasher, not because of sublimation. This can run, like the design will never come off. We recommend not putting it in the dishwasher because it's double walled and the dishwasher can break down that double wall vacuum and cause it to no longer be temperature controlled. So that's why we recommend no dishwasher, not because of the design, but because we don't want to break down the vacuum seal. Okay, so here is our design for our tumbler. I'm going to cut away at the white edges. Let's see, Creative Studio. So I am familiar with Creative Studio because I used to work at Sawgrass. I know they have a ton of different blanks and stuff in there. There's going to be a level of guessing and changing up your measurements and doing some adjustments in printing when it comes to figuring out what size and everything works for your blanks, unfortunately. Well, let's see. So how do I print sublimation images that are vibrant and don't come out faded? So I love this question too. When you are printing sublimation, it's going to come out faded. When it prints right off the printer, this ink is going to look dull and faded. That's because it takes the proper time, temperature, and pressure, and the right amount of polyester to activate the inks. So you are always going to have a dull looking printout. It's once this is activated, once this ink is activated by the time, temperature, and pressure of this heat press, that's when you're going to see the colors pop. Nope, you are not doing anything wrong. You just need to press the item. And I get it, the first time you print it out and you're going, wait a second, this doesn't seem right. You don't want to waste a blank on it, but I promise you, you're doing everything right. So we're doing a full wrap here. What I like to do is cut this so it slightly overlaps. I like taking my heat tape. Now note, this is heat tape. This is not normal Scotch tape that you're going to get down at the store. This is specialty tape used for sublimation and other heat press crafting. And I like to slightly overlap my tape and hang a little piece at the top here so that I can rip it off and it all comes down at once. Why do some images come out faded once pressed, or also different colors that design the computer? So some images may come out faded for a few reasons. You might not be using the proper time, temperature, and pressure, or your item might not have a high enough polyester count. There's a few different reasons why it could look faded. And also, you know, when you're designing on the computer, you have a different vibrancy and saturation you're looking at on screen than what you're going to achieve when you actually print an item. My suggestion is use hex codes. Yeah, so someone wants to know, how do I use this as a business to determine what can sell and what won't sell? We are going to get into that, and we are also going to get into that in future classes as well. So you converted a large format Epson printer, high quality prints, and they're beautiful. If you choose the correct profile, no clogs in the print head, so that's awesome. I'm glad that your Epson's working for you like that. So someone says, I can never get the edge of the tumbler to get full color. What do? I always suggest hanging a little bit of extra paper above the tumbler. That's my advice. How tight do you have to pull the wrap and tape onto the tumbler? Make it very snug. Very, very snug. You shouldn't have any room between the paper and the tumbler. So we're pressing this at 385 degrees for 60 seconds. Once the time is up, we're going to open it and slightly rotate this tumbler and press it again for another 60 seconds. You might be wondering why. The answer is because of the heat. So there is a slight opening at the top of our press here because it doesn't close all the way, and we are doing a full wrap. So to ensure that every piece of this tumbler gets pressed with the proper time, temperature, and pressure, we press for 60 seconds, we rotate, and then we press again. How am I preventing seams? So what I'm doing is I'm printing it just large enough. I would do a width of 9.5, that the two ends slightly overlap, and then I tape the edges together. So what about time when using an oven? So what I would do if I was using an oven to make a full wrap tumbler is I would press at 385 degrees for 8 minutes. And here we go. How much do you rotate? I rotate about 90 degrees. Ready? So here we have our tape up here. Our tape has all been overlapped. Boom. All comes off at once. And there we have it. Oh, someone likes this tumbler. Thank you. All right. What size tumbler am I using? This is a 20-ounce tumbler. So you see how the colors really popped after being hit with the proper time and temperature. And you see here we're avoiding any seams because I measured it to the amount where the two ends just overlapped enough. And you see how much of that ink came off. And you will always have ink left over on your paper because the ink does dye the paper. Don't try to reuse a transfer because sublimation does not work like that. Will they ever make a press for a 40-ounce tumbler? The answer is they do. So now we've gone and we've done our 2 demonstrations. Let's go ahead and talk more about the business of sublimation. Best paper for sublimation, we have sublimation paper. We have sublimation paper that we sell through Craft Express, available at Michael's. Let's see. My printer can only do 8.5 wide. How do you print a larger image? Print it sideways. So print it in a landscape mode as opposed to a portrait mode. When it comes to printing it larger than any sort of 8.5 by 11 or 11 by 8.5, you're not gonna be able to do that without a larger printer or a bypass tray for a sawgrass printer. It takes a long time to make each item. What if I make a mistake? Can I correct them? So it shouldn't be taking you too long. I mean, this took 2 minutes, this took 3.5. So it's not too long to make each item. If you make a mistake, unfortunately, you make a mistake. There's no way to correct that. I wish there was, there's just not. What about a tumbler with handles? So a tumbler with handles is a little bit different. You're not going to be able to go seamlessly all the way around. You're going to have to stop at the edge of that tumbler. Let's see, what printer settings do you use for printing out pictures? It depends on what printer you have. Sawgrass does have a photo option. Is there only one type of paper material for everything? Like, can I use the same paper as a tumbler? And so you can use the same sublimation paper on every sublimation item. Let's see. Can I put these images on a t-shirt? Absolutely, I could. Okay. So let's get back to the presentation. And I got a lot of questions coming in. I love it. What percentage of polyester works best? 100%. So what apps do I use to create? It kind of depends. Like, I use Canva. I'll print through Creative Studio or the Sawgrass, other Sawgrass, print manager and stuff like that. Let's take a break from questions right now and get back to talking about making money with sublimation. So give me 1 second here. So I hope you can all see my screen. So what are the benefits of using sublimation? So as opposed to some other forms of product decorating, one being it never cracks, fades, or peels. So as opposed to something like screen printing or DTF, which could crack, fade, or peel, this doesn't. It has bold, vibrant colors with a lot of details and the ability to customize and personalize, which with something like, say, vinyl, you could not decorate an item with a photograph using vinyl. And then when it comes to something like screen printing, you have to layer color after color after color. You're not going to get the detail that a sublimation printer would allow you to have. Also, a sublimation is multi-surface compatible. So you can sublimate on a t-shirt, on a tumbler, on a mouse pad, on a mug. There's a lot of different items and materials you can sublimate on as long as they're coated in polyester. Another benefit is sublimation takes just seconds to minutes to make. So it's really easy to make items fairly quickly. And depending on what type of item you're making, how small it is, how large your press is, you can create multiple items at once. For example, you can fit 4 mugs in an oven and press 4 mugs at once. So you have the ability to press multiple items at a time, whereas something like vinyl cutting, you can only cut so much vinyl at once. Or with screen printing, you can only screen print 1 t-shirt at a time, really. The number one thing is there's a low overhead investment. So for something like embroidery, that's tens of thousands of dollars that people have to invest in. Where sublimation, generally to get started in the sublimation business, your overhead investment is somewhere around $1,200. So you have to invest in, generally, a printer with ink, paper, blanks, and a heat press. That's pretty, and tape. That's pretty much it. And you can generally get that for around $1,200 and a lower starter pack. So it's pretty easy to quickly invest in and start to quickly earn your money back because you can charge more for the items you make. So for example, right now at Michael's, a 25 pack of ornament is $19.99. But I would go around and sell this ornament that we've made, if I decorate it front and back, for $15. So you can easily make up what you're spending once you start physically making items. So what's the value of personalization and customization in the current market? So I have references to all of this in the end of the slides. So I did get this information from reputable sources. But 36% of consumers prefer customized products. 50% of consumers believe that customized items make great gifts. And we are at that time frame right now. We are at the period of Christmas and the holiday season that a lot of people are not only gift giving, but looking to give unique, personalized gifts to people, whether that be ornaments or mugs, tumblers, wine glasses. People are looking for reasons to give other people gifts that they cannot just go out and purchase for themselves in stores. 1 in 3 consumers believe that standard products do not meet their expectations when it comes to not only gift giving, but items for themselves. Customized products can sell for 50% more than items sold in stores. So if you're a small business owner, you might be able to sell this tumbler for about $10. But if you are a small business owner who customizes and you throw a name on here, you're going to be able to sell this item for $20. And companies offering customization products see a 40% decrease in their returns because people don't want to return an item that is made specifically for them. So when we look at this at Craft Express, we see all of this and we call this the emotional margin. That meaning that people are willing to pay more and want more items that are emotionally fulfilling a need for them, that are tugging at their heartstrings. We always love to put it in perspective of grandparents. You know, a mug for grandma is great, but if you're able to put little Billy's softball or baseball picture on that mug, the value of that item goes up. And we're not just talking about money-wise. The value of that item emotionally increases for her because it's something that she can't find in store. It's somebody that she loves, and it's something that she can show off to other people that is a representation of an extension of herself. So together, all of this is considered an emotional margin that helps you increase sales and increase your earnings based off of personalization and customization. So now let's look at where the industry trends are going. So it is predicted that by 2030, the dye sublimation market, so the sublimation market that deals with personalization and customization, is expected to reach $10.67 billion. That's by the year 2030. We are predicted to grow at a 12.3% rate in the market between now and 2030. So that just continues to go up. And a lot of people will know this. During COVID, we saw a huge increase in personalization and small business ownership. And that is why these trends are going up, because more and more people are starting these small businesses and giving consumers the ability to purchase more personalized and customizable items. 80% of customers have grown to expect and desire personalized experiences, and that is in all aspects of buying. So yes, that does talk about your tumblers, your mugs, your t-shirts, your mouse pads, etc. But if you think about it, that extends to everything that we as consumers look at and buy. A lot of larger companies like Nike, for example, allows you to customize your sneakers. Disney, for example, allows you to customize your ears that you buy in the parks. So even in the streaming world, you're able to customize your own profile when you're on your apps. So personalization and customization truly is the way that the world is going when it comes to selling products. And 69% of businesses are increasing their investment in personalization because they are seeing these trends moving forward. So that is kind of where we are leaving today's class off at. I wanted to give enough time to make the demonstrations, answer your questions, and give you some information. Now, when we do our next class, we're going to be talking about finding your niche market and how to market your products and sell to that market. We don't have a time yet for that class. When we do, we will post about it. I wanted to let you know where you can find more information about us and where you can learn from us. And I want to take some time to go ahead and answer more of your questions before our time is up, because we only have about 15 minutes left. So let's go ahead and take a look back here. Let's see. So people want to know what kind of sublimation paper I use. I use Craft Express sublimation paper. Let's see. There's a lot of questions that poured in. Any way to sub on black? The answer is no. So it's a great question. Sublimation ink does not print white, and it is transparent. So anytime you see white in, say, an item, it's because the item behind it is white. If this was a pink tumbler, all these colors would be tinted in a sort of pink way, and all of this white area would look pink. So there's no way to print on black. How do you sell images without worrying about copyright infractions? If I create using Midjourney or Canva, can I sell those freely? So you can sell those as long as it's on a physical product. Everybody has their own copyright and licensing agreement regulations. It's just about knowing what they are before you go ahead and purchase and start selling. Generally, people will sell a design as long as you put that design on an item and sell it and are not reselling the design, you're good to go. Let's see. What's the average cost of sublimation printer and press? Printer can vary anywhere from a few, like $200 to $700, $800. I know this press is like $350. Let's see. Does painter's tape work? I would not use painter's tape. I would use heat tape because it will not melt under the heat of the heat press. It doesn't look easy. It looks hard to do. I promise it's super easy. You just print, wrap, tape, and press. It's so easy, I promise. Can you put ceramic mugs in the tumbler press? Yes, you can. Can this be done on glass? As long as it's coated in polyester, you can. Someone wants to know about a recorded version of the session. It's going to be on YouTube. Let's see. How do you make your sublimation look glossy? That's all about the blank item. So this is a glossy tumbler. We have glossy mugs. That's how you're going to get that gloss look. It's based off of the sublimation blank that you purchase. Let's see. Oh, this is a fantastic question. I'm someone who wants to start my sublimation business in the future. What are some items that you would recommend for someone just starting out? Mugs are always going to be a bestseller item. So are tumblers. If I were you, I would start with one of those two items. My biggest recommendation is always find an item, get good at it, then start selling it. Once you've perfected an item and you start seeing success with it, then move on to something else and add that to your shop. Can you sublimate on crocheted items? You can, as long as the crochet yarn is polyester and light or white colored. And someone said they like the class. I appreciate that. So it looks like that person's been helped. That's great. Is there a specific brand of heat tape I favor? I favor ours. So the great thing is we have pretty much everything you need to get started in sublimation aside from the printer. But I believe the printer is sold at Michael's. So there are a lot of options, but when it comes to like what I recommend, I'll always recommend what we sell because I've tested it and nothing gets on the shelves or online unless it gets past this testing table. Fantastic question. Can you cover things with polyester yourself, or does it have to come already on it? You should get items that are already coated for sublimation in polyester. Here's why. Because it needs to be coated evenly. So say we put a ton of polyester here and not so much down here. This part of the item is going to be brighter and it's going to be sharper to look at. Down here, it's going to look faded and potentially fuzzy. So in order to have an item that is fully looking beautiful and even in all aspects of the design, you want it to be coated professionally by a sublimation business. Let's see. So someone wants to know, can you make Disney things and sell them? That answer is no, because 99.9% of the time, you find a design on Etsy that's Disney, that chances are that person does not have a license for the Disney characters. So the answer is you should not, because Disney will come after you and shut down your shop about once or twice a year. They do go on to Etsy and shut people down. Let's see. So someone wants to know, if your tumbler, for example, doesn't come out the way you expect, can you try it again on the same tumbler? The answer is no. This is permanent. Once it's done, it's done. And I would not try to press over anything again because you're going to get a chance for ghosting. Your colors could come out even worse. Unfortunately, with sublimation, if you make a mistake, that is it for that item. See. How long does the ink last? If say you're just doing tumblers. So if you're talking about like how long does it last on the tumbler, the answer is forever. If you're asking how long does it last in the printer before you run out, the answer is it depends on the printer. It depends on if you have a full cartridge or starter cartridges. So when I worked at Sawgrass, we did a test. We were able to get 465 full sheets of a design printed out before the first cartridge of ink ran out. So it lasts a long time, but I know for Sawgrass in particular, you have to keep your printer plugged in and turned on at all times so that it can go through cleaning cycles once a day. The more you print, the less ink it will use in the cleaning cycles and the longer your ink will last. How expensive is it to buy new ink? That depends on what kind of printer you have. So unfortunately, I can't really give you that information. So someone asked, moving forward, how can we continue to have someone coach us through everything? Give us a follow on social media. So we are at Craft Express on Facebook, at Craft Express US on Instagram. You can find us at Craft Express on YouTube, and we're at Craft_Express on TikTok. So we do a lot of classes. I do lives once a week on Facebook. We try to put out information for you so that you can learn along with us. For us, education is huge, and we want to help you be successful. Let's see. So what platform do you use for selling items? The answer is whatever one works best for you. I know some people use Etsy, some people are using Facebook Marketplace, other people sell at craft fairs. So you have to know your niche audience and what you're making to determine where the best place is for you to sell. We're going to go over that in our next class, which I don't have a date or time for yet, but I'm going to talk to Michaels. We'll get that up. Not sure if I want to try to squeeze it in before the holidays or wait until after the new year. So when that information comes out, you all will know. Let's see. How would you sublimate on a 40-ounce tumbler? I would use a sublimation oven, and I would wrap the tumbler in sublimation design, put shrink wrap over it, and sublimate it in an oven. I would sublimate it at 385 degrees for 8 minutes. So what kind of maintenance does the printer need? That depends on what kind of printer you have. If you have a Sawgrass printer, it does its own maintenance. If you have an Epson printer, you have to do the maintenance yourself. And I'm not too familiar on what that entails. Can you print sheets in advance, and how far in advance? You can print them months in advance. The ink won't come off those sheets. They come out already dry, so you can print them well in advance. All I would recommend is keeping them in a drawer or a folder so that like little air fuzzies in lint doesn't get on them, because if it does, that can transfer over to your tumbler or your mug or your mouse pad or whatever. And you don't want that. Do I have an email newsletter? You can subscribe to our email at shop.craftexpress.com. What day of the week and time do I have a class? I teach classes for the most part on our Facebook page Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Now, sometimes that changes based on my traveling schedule for work, but we keep you posted on the Facebook group, Facebook page. Ceramic mugs in the oven, and I would do that at 392 degrees for 12 minutes. Where can you find designs? You can find them on design bundles, Etsy, Creative Fabrica, Creative Studio from Sawgrass, Canva. There's a lot of places you can find designs. Can you create designs using Adobe Suite products? Yes, you can, and you can print them out. It just depends how you print and how you measure, just depends on what printer you use. All right, I think I was able to get through every question so far. Thank you, Nicole, for your help on the back end. We have 7 minutes left. What other questions do you guys have? I would love to answer those questions for you. Again, I hope I didn't go too fast. I wanted to get you the information, show you the process, and answer your questions. If I went too fast, be sure to watch this back tomorrow on YouTube and give us a follow. We can help you out some more. This
Megan,
Pro Tumbler.
I'm sorry. No, Megan, did you want to share that link to the blanks?
Yeah, let me see if I can find it. Give me 1 second. It is in here somewhere. Hold on, I can't without going up to my computer and kind of messing around with things. So here's what I'm going to do. I will post it on our Facebook page tomorrow. So if you give us a follow, you can find it there. Let's see. If you're going to use the handheld press, do you need to press it on the table? The answer is yes. Since I work for Sawgrass, I suggest the SG500 to start off with. Can you print more than one ornament at a time? The answer is yes. As long as they can fit on your paper and fit under your heat press, you can press multiple at once. Thank you. People are giving some compliments. I really appreciate that. This is the Craft Express oven. We have it in a 25 liter and a 12 liter size. Can you sublimate on Home Depot tiles? Hey, if they're coated in polyester, you can sublimate on them. I would sublimate on tile at 400 degrees for 8 minutes. You can find us on Facebook at Craft Express. There is no such thing as sublimation metallic ink, but you can sublimate on metallic sublimation blanks. How do you know if something's polyester coated? Generally, it tells you. So if you're buying a sublimation blank, it's polyester coated. If you're going to Home Depot and you want to sublimate on a tile, you're going to have to ask them if it's polyester coated. Let's see. Do I put anything between my shirt when pressing? Will it bleed out? The answer is no. A good sublimation shirt or a good polyester shirt will not bleed out. If it does, it's not the right shirt for you. Okay, anything else before we go? I really, everyone, appreciate the comments, the compliments, and the thank yous. I thank you all for joining so much. Let's see, looks like we have suggestions on t-shirts. I don't have a t-shirt. I can speak, I promise. I don't have a t-shirt suggestion for you, unfortunately. The higher the polyester count, the better. Let's see. All right, we got about 3 minutes left. So Nicole, I will turn it back over to you to do any last minute housekeeping that you need to do. And I thank you all for joining us, and we will see you hopefully next time.